I'm with Julian Liniger from Relai. Julian, how are you doing?
Hey man, I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Excellent, excellent. So we have great news from Switzerland, not just from Relay. We will speak about that, but also Lugano, a small city at the Lugano Lake, has just broke the news. Basically, what is your view on the Lugano thing? So they're trying to make legal Bitcoin tender. What do you know about it? What was your view on that?
Yeah, I mean, overall very positive. Obviously, Bitcoin being in the news is always good, especially with positive news, and even more so if Switzerland and a canton and a city in Switzerland is embracing Bitcoin and supporting Bitcoin. It's always great news if politics and governments try to be positive and supportive about Bitcoin. That's great. That said, and I'm not disclaimer, I'm not kind of an expert in that. I don't have direct relationships to Lugano. It's in the Italian speaking part of Switzerland, so there's kind of a gap between the German speaking part and the Italian speaking part. So I don't really know a lot about it firsthand. I've also not been to this event where they announced everything. I basically don't really know much more than there is written in the articles that everybody can read. Um, that said, I think it's kind of more a bit of a marketing and PR gag than anything else. I mean, I know, yes, they accept Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies for tax payments, which is great. That's the same that Zug, kind of the crypto valley, is doing as well. And they kind of push or try to push businesses to accept Bitcoin as well. And they also try to attract and make it easy for Bitcoin and crypto businesses to set up shop in Lugano. Um, I know that it's not legal. It's not from a legal perspective. It's not a legal tender. Bitcoin is not a legal tender. It's de facto legal tender, which basically means nothing, because the canton of Lugano cannot just make a law because this is federal law that decides whether or not something is legal tender on the national level or not, and the cantons cannot decide that for themselves. So there is no law around this. It's more a communication PR thing, which is not a bad thing, but it means it has implications with, for example, the Bitcoin that they accept for tax payments, they do not and cannot, they're not allowed to hold these Bitcoin. They will always exchange them back to fiat and hold the fiat. I know this from someone who was actually at the event and digged a little bit deeper into it. I would also need to get more information, but that's kind of the main thing that I understand as so far is, yes, it's a very positive thing. Obviously that they want to embrace Bitcoin and that they for sure do a lot of things in the right direction, but it's not comparable to the El Salvador announcement, for example, where it's an actual legal action. In Lugano, it's more a PR thing, I guess.
Thank you. Interesting. So, do you already see a third canton? Perhaps is there any dynamic? Because this is the beautiful thing about Switzerland, right? That the canton, the districts are basically able to do these kind of things, whether it's half baked or the real deal. Do you think at some point there will be maybe a canton doing a real legal tender, or is that not really possible?
As said, I'm not a legal expert, but I think that cantons cannot decide on such things.
Okay. So
Cantons cannot
it would
even
need
decide.
a bigger organization. Okay.
It
And
would need to be on the government level. So we have
right.
26 cantons, which is by itself already kind of funny because we are only 8 million people and they are also distributed in 26 different cantons. Some are bigger, some are smaller. Lugano is actually quite small. They have 60K-ish people, so it's not even pretty big. And the canton cannot decide whether or not something is legal tender.
Yeah.
This is my understanding. I'm obviously not a lawyer, but I think for something to really have an impact, Switzerland, as like the Swiss government, would need to change the laws to make Bitcoin legal tender next to the Swiss franc, because in all these cantons they don't have their own currencies. Obviously, they use the Swiss franc, so not one canton cannot just decide, oh, we are also using the US dollar as a legal tender. For example, this is something that on the national level would need to be decided. And there we are, from my opinion, far away. Because of our politics, and we're a democratic country, and political decision making is very slow. So I don't see that as a thing that a canton or the whole country is adopting Bitcoin actually as a legal tender anytime soon. But that said, it's a very good trend, a very good positive dynamic that more and more cantons are very positive about Bitcoin. So Zug obviously being the first, and then Zurich, where Relai has its head office and is located. And Zurich is basically the financial district and the main economic city in and canton in Switzerland. So they are very positive about Bitcoin as well. You can, for example, found a company or create a company using Bitcoin in Zurich as well. So you have to make a down payment of between 20 and 100K, depending on what kind of company you are building, and then this down payment can be made fully in Bitcoin, for example. So the main economical and financial canton of Switzerland is already doing this. It's just not in the big press, but they are very receptive of Bitcoin. And now Lugano and most likely also French-speaking ones like Geneva and Lausanne, they will also follow, as these are innovative cantons as well. And that's a very positive development for sure.
Interesting. Let's talk about Relai. You are announcing every time you reach a milestone. It's very nice to follow the startup story here. It's also, I think, the third time, Julian, that we are together. Give us an update. What has been going on with Relai? What are the recent updates?
Sure. Yeah. Crazy times, man. I think first time we talked was like at the very beginning when we started. It was like 1.5 years ago, a bit more, in June 2020. Where we started with basically nothing, just Adam and I, two co-founders. We were broke, we didn't have any investors, but we thought like Bitcoin investing needs to become easier. So we created and launched this app into the wild. And since then, obviously, it was a crazy ride. We also tried to fundraise a lot. We have built a team. We have, as you said, reached a lot of milestones. Lately, the biggest milestones were probably that by the end of last year, or Q4, we received our broker license. So we're now an official kind of Swiss broker, a VASP, virtual asset service provider. So we have the legal framework to do the money exchange from fiat to Bitcoin ourselves, which is very important to us. And then we've also built and launched our own broker software. So before we were working with an external broker, now we are doing it in-house. And there was a lot of growth for us by the end of last year, because we've also built out the team from 3 people beginning of last year to 15 people now, 16. So we have a big marketing team, not big, but like 5 people in the marketing team that are really pushing hard for the numbers. And we now reached a nice milestone of 5 million monthly volume. So 5 million per month is in euro and Swiss francs is invested through us into Bitcoin, which is great. And we are also live with 3 different customer segments. So remember, we started this very nice, no KYC onboarding within 1 minute without any registration. From $10 already, you can invest in Bitcoin up to 1K per day. This was our first kind of step into the market, and obviously normal people, retail investors really like that. That's still in place. But on top of that, we've also started with kind of a medium, we call it affluent customer segment. So people who want to invest even more than 1K per day, they can now through going through a quick 5-minute registration KYC process. If they want, they don't have to, but if they want to invest bigger amounts, they can. And through this, we've already had 20K orders, for example. So individuals who got registered and put 20K into Bitcoin directly. And last but not least, we also opened an OTC desk where the really big guys, like some whales who maybe want to sell some of their Bitcoin, or some big guys, hedge fund managers or high net worth individuals whatsoever, who want to invest maybe 500,000 or so in Bitcoin in one go. That we can also do now. So with these 3 customer segments, we are live. and the whole team is very excited, and we're thriving, and we're now again opening a new round of financing to grow even more.
Awesome. And where are your customers from? Mostly Switzerland or the whole of Europe? Can you give us an insight maybe?
It's very interesting, actually. We are doing very broad marketing, so we don't focus on jurisdictions. So it's very organic from where they are. And mainly, we are very strong in the German-speaking market, just because probably, we come from Switzerland and we did a lot of stuff in German. So Germany is our biggest market, by far, actually. Followed by Switzerland, followed by Austria. So the three German-speaking European countries. And then Spain is the fourth biggest, which is interesting as well. I don't really know why, but our app is available in 5 languages. One of them is Spanish, so maybe maybe there are not a lot of Spanish-speaking apps. Or we have some nice communities and podcasters there that push us, which is great. So somehow Spain is our fourth biggest market, and then followed by the other bigger European ones like Italy and France. And then we have a long tail of all the other 30 plus European countries where we have small communities and small numbers of active users, but growing as well.
Interesting. As a CEO of a now Bitcoin brokerage, not just an on-ramper app, you're probably optimistic. I mean, as an entrepreneur, you have to be optimistic. But what makes you bullish about Bitcoin? What makes you optimistic about Bitcoin? I think like the price is pretty impressive still, but people are scared. It's very volatile. Why you're bullish?
I'm bullish because I think time is working for Bitcoin and not against it. Younger generations, it's a very clear pattern that the youngest generation, Generation Z, is most bullish on Bitcoin. They are most interested in Bitcoin, and they say they will invest a lot of their money in Bitcoin, which is pretty clear that a 20-year-old digital native will most likely not invest a lot in gold or bonds or real estate. They might invest a little bit in stocks, but the majority they will invest in Bitcoin and, to be fair, other cryptocurrencies. They also like meme coins and all that shit, but they mainly see Bitcoin as their digital store of value. Millennials as well. More than 70% of millennials say they are already or want to invest in Bitcoin, and then a bit less for the older generations. But so this is the future, right? So in the next 10 to 20 years, the majority of money in the world will be controlled and invested by these younger generations, the Generation Z and Y. They will lead the organizations that are investing money. They will earn and inherit so much money, and a big part of this will flow into Bitcoin. And as we know, Bitcoin is designed as this almost perfect store of value with limited supply, and all these digital gold characteristics that makes it so attractive as a store of value and makes the purchasing power grow. And therefore, I really don't see any reason not to be bullish. I see a reason to be very bullish, especially also because the competitor of Bitcoin as a store of value, being the fiat money system, is just basically also breaking apart in front of our eyes with a US dollar that has a plus 8% inflation rate at a zero or even negative interest rate, which is mind-boggling. If you think that 40 years ago was the last time that the inflation was so high, with the global reserve currency, we also must say. 30, 40 years ago, the inflation was also 8%, but the interest rate was also 8 or 9%. So then it's kind of okay, you don't lose money. But now you're actually losing fucking 8% of your purchasing power on your savings account. And obviously people then start thinking, okay, where do I put my money? And they find Bitcoin as a very good alternative. So there's a lot of reasons to be bullish, at least in the mid to long term. In the short term, obviously, it's still a young nascent technology, and that's why it's very volatile. That's totally normal.
Well, you could argue, Julian, you're maybe a bit biased, right? Because you want people to use your app. However, I was just thinking, you're also offering selling Bitcoin, right? Which kind of balances that out, perhaps, right? So let's talk about the data. Is it still more people's buying, or how much buying? What's the buying to selling ratio? And I think maybe somebody's still not really convinced of what you said. So let the data speak, right? I mean, you have the insight, right? Really, from the raw data, you see the buys coming in. Share a little bit. Maybe you have some information from that side. Why, how the volumes develop, basically.
Yeah. So that's it's true still that the buys or the purchasing is way higher. The purchasing rate is way higher than the selling rate. So it depends, month over month. It also depends on the price a little bit, on the sentiment, but it's give or take 90 to 10. So it's 90% buying and it's 10% selling. People buy the investment not just they don't trade. At least on our platform, we're not made for trading. We're made for saving or for investing in the long term. And people with us, they buy and they buy and they buy, and they maybe at one point they sell if they kind of need the money, or they just made a big uptick and want to cash in a little bit on that to use it for whatever. But mainly what they do is buy. And what's also bullish in terms of data is that it seems very clearly that the savings plans ratio is going up and up and up. So actually last month, it was the first month where we were plus 50% of the orders were actually savings plans, so automatic recurring investments. We started at like 25%, and then we gradually went up 30, 40, and now we're up more than 50%. So more than 50% of the people that are using Relai are having a savings plan instead of making single buys, which is also very bullish. I mean, if you think that this is even going to increase and more people just have this auto stacking plan, the buying pressure is obviously then way higher, which could lead to a higher price. And last but not least, what's also very interesting for us to see, and it's also bullish about Bitcoin, if this is representative on our platform, on Relai at least, the amount per order, or the order amount is increasing as well. We started at around 100, a bit more than $100 on average per purchase, and now we almost hit 200 last month, so it's around 195 Swiss francs per order. So the order volume is also going up. People are willing to invest more in Bitcoin. So these are all trends that definitely are also bullish.
The users are productive and successful, and they want to stack more sats and they take the risk. Let's keep talking one more question about the users. So you're still Bitcoin only here at Bitcoin News. We're also just focusing on Bitcoin. Do you have demands? Is it a discussion in the company? How do you decide? I think it's first of all, it is an interesting, I think, a focus. I mean, to keep an eye just on laser focus on Bitcoin. But what is your position? Was it still a good? Are you happy with that decision to be Bitcoin only and no shitcoins?
We are very happy, and we still believe that this is the future of saving. We're not we're not like I would say very toxic on this discussion. I mean, everyone should be investing and trading whatever he or she wants, and we also acknowledge that there is a need for other cryptos and tokens and meme coins and whatever people want to trade. People just like to trade different things, and that's fine. People should be. Especially millennials, if they want to trade some and bet on Shiba Inu going up or whatever, that's fine. But it's just not our focus. Our focus is very clearly making the best savings technology more available, easier available to people, and the best way to save is Bitcoin. And it's a total different animal. Bitcoin is a total different animal than all the other crypto currencies or assets out there. they're fine for speculation and kind of gambling. But even the crypto traders, even the degenerates that are trading all these shitcoins, if they need a way to place or park or store their value, they will always choose Bitcoin. I mean, the biggest shitcoin foundations like Tesos, for example, they have a transparent book of their assets. They manage more than 2 billion in assets, and around 50% of that they hold in Bitcoin, not in their own shitcoin, but or other shitcoins, but Bitcoin, because they just know it's just a rational thing to do. In the long run, this is what keeps the purchasing power and makes most sense to store value in. And so that's what we strongly believe in, that Bitcoin is the best way to save, and we want to give everyone a very simple, user-friendly, and secure access to it, and that's what we do, and nothing else. We also want to keep this laser focus. We don't think that anyone wants to set up a savings plan in Shiba Inu because he or she would like to buy a house from that in 10 years. It doesn't make sense. But with Bitcoin, it does make sense.
Right. You see Kraken, I think they're planning new features to trade indices. And I think most crypto exchanges, have consistently tried to add features and, add different markets and such. So you don't offer any trading really, right? But are there any other features that you have planned more focused on saving or Bitcoin that you think customers would be interested in?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are listening very closely to what our community wants, and we are a community of Bitcoin savers. So that's why we definitely are. We're not stopping. Like we are continuously improving our product and shipping new features that make Bitcoin saving and investing more accessible and more integrated into daily life. So we believe that everyone should be always saving Bitcoin without doing anything. Like in your daily life, you should always be saving. That's what we strive for in the long run. So in the first phase, what is really important is to make the first investment as easy as possible. And there, what we are working on is really making the app even more user-friendly, even more exciting to use with, for example, push notifications and nice animations and better UX UI, and also an easier, a shorter, simpler process of your first Bitcoin buy. We really want to be at the place where within 1 minute you can buy your first Bitcoin. And for example, also one new feature that we are working on is additional payment methods. So right now you need to send a bank transfer, which is a bit cumbersome. We want to enable all the payment methods that people are using, like PayPal, credit card, and so forth, which make it even easier to buy the first Bitcoin. And then after that, what we will focus on is, as I said, integrating Bitcoin saving in our daily lives. So already now, what you can do is you set up a savings plan. So every Friday, I know I have bought some Bitcoin, which is great, without doing anything, just because I have a Relai savings plan running. What also is already live is you can refer people and earn Bitcoin whenever they invest, right? Our Relay referral program is very popular. I, for example, also earn not that much, but like maybe 20, $30 per month in Bitcoin, just because my friends are also happy with the app and saving. What's next? What we are imagining, we're not quite there yet, but would be great is to have a debit card where you can spend your fiat, and every time you spend, you also earn a little bit in Bitcoin with a sats back. Let's say 1%, you get a sats back, or with a round-up function where if you buy a coffee for 4.50, it rounds up to 50 and to 5, and these 50 cents you get in sats back as well. And last but not least, a lot of people also ask, well, they want to do something with their Bitcoin. They don't want just to hodl. Some of them just want to hodl. Some of them want to get interest on them. So maybe a lending account where they can lend their Bitcoin to other people if they want to, and then earn interest on that. So everything around, every feature that supports this, always be saving Bitcoin automatically in your daily life. This is what we are going for.
Awesome. You mentioned your team has been growing to 15 people now. do you already have a second meme officer position? And I saw you were commenting, I think, on Twitter. There was an office vacant. Are you moving offices? And really, what's I think interesting here is like hiring Bitcoiners, right? So, what kind of positions are you looking to hire right now? And maybe what's the DNA somebody has to bring to work at a company like Relai?
Yeah, many questions. I don't know if I remember all of them, but yes, we keep on growing. Yes, we want to employ the smartest people that want to work on Bitcoin and saving. Just employed someone. Doesn't matter, but yes, we have open positions. You can check them out on our website. Mainly developers, because we want to build all these exciting features that we need to have. More talent on front end, full stack, and back end development, and on Bitcoin itself as well, obviously. And then another position that we have online now is a UX designer, UX UI designer, to make the app even more beautiful and fresh, and the UX even better. And overall, we're always open and excited for people to get in touch if they would like to work with us. And that's actually how we employed at least half of the team. They just got active in our community, and at one point they asked for an employment, and they got it. We don't have a second meme officer available now. We're very happy with who we have. Satoshi Baggins is doing an amazing job, but whenever he needs maybe an intern or whatever, then he will let Twitter know, and then you guys can apply for this. I don't remember my comment about an office available. We're not moving office. We're very happy where we are in House of Satoshi, first floor at Langstrasse in Zurich. Very happy where we are there, and we're staying there. Half of the team is remote anyway, so we're only quote unquote 6 people in Switzerland. The rest is remote. Doesn't also really matter where we are, but we're very happy in House of Satoshi.
Well, now you dox your address. I hope the brokerage Trésor is not in that same address.
No, I don't think so. I don't know where it is. I think we lost it in a boat accident. Okay. Well, the address is public information. It's on our website. Right.
Yep. Okay, final question. I'm always curious, so I think every time I ask you, right? So how are your parents seeing your job today? Do they understand it? And like, yeah, how is that working? You're now really successful. The team is growing. At some point, like it must click, that this is an actual thing and not just, a crazy idea or a fad or something. How is your surrounding?
Yeah, no, I think my parents are both quite happy. My mom is actually also on a Bitcoin savings plan, and she's using it, and she doesn't understand it at all. The other day she had to, because we were at an award show, and she had to prepare a video where she answers some questions, and one question was, did you already know like your son would be an entrepreneur later when he was a kid? And then she said no, she would have thought that I would become anything, like for example a creative or an artist, I think she said, or a teacher, but certainly not a tech entrepreneur. So I don't think she understands any of this, or she anticipated any of this, but she's definitely very happy with it, and she just sees that it makes me happy, so it's fine for her. But it's not that she kind of is into Bitcoin at all, and she never will be, most likely. And my dad is also very supportive. I also know that he's a Bitcoin investor through Relai. He even offered to invest a little bit in the company when we were short of money at the very beginning, but I then didn't want that because I didn't want to mix family and companies and business. But yeah, no, they're very supportive and very happy how it's going. And obviously, they only see the success that everyone is seeing also on social media. Everyone that is kind of in the startup environment is also familiar with that the majority of the work is very hard, and sometimes it's also there's also a lot of negative stuff and a lot of fires burning all the time. But I don't think that they are that much aware of this, but they're very happy, and I'm also happy if they are happy.
Awesome. thank you so much, Julian. It's been a pleasure as always. And when do we go to Lugano Lake for coffee?
We should have coffee in Miami in a month from now. Are you going to be there?
Yeah, we'll be there. Yeah, awesome. Great.
Awesome. We'll meet there for the next interview, okay?
Awesome. Thank you,
Cool, man.
Julian.
Thanks, Leo. Have a good one.